I'm about to reveal the best sniping tips, tricks, settings, and secrets all in Black Ops 6 so you can snipe like this. There's another double. Another one. Come on. Oh! Oh my god! 5 on! And that's how we get gold with a kill chain. Where are you jumping? Where are you jumping around there? Oh!
Yeah, he's not hacking, he's just sick. He's just really good.
Hey, appreciate the gas.
Thank you for receiving the gas.
What a gentleman. Now, before we begin, I do want to say that sniping in Black Ops 6 is pretty damn difficult. The game is against you from the get-go, with mechanics like off-centered aiming with wobbly idle sway to its ridiculous flinch and the massive vertical recoil. It's no wonder as a sniper you think, why the hell am I even trying this? But don't worry, I've got you covered. Before we go over the crucial settings, let me give you a few in-game tips. Crosshair placement is massive in this game, with the rapid omni movement and tight quarters due to some slightly odd map designs. Being ready for an enemy to appear has never been more important. Center your crosshairs in prediction to an enemy's slide, dive, or just simply in preparation for them appearing around a corner, thanks to those super loud footsteps. It's very similar to how you would aim on a jetpack game like Black Ops 3, slightly ahead of the enemy if you're conscious they're about to slide or jump, so by the time you scope in, you'll be perfectly lined up, ready to fire. It will be situational, but it's something to work on. But if you're out in the open with clear lines of sight and cover to play with, center the enemy in the middle of your crosshairs before scoping in. The main goal is still to do all the work outside of your scope, so you can keep an eye on what's going on around you. Downing your scope, your view is limited. However, I must confess, drag scoping is back. I tended to avoid this type of shot in previous CODs, but with how quick you need to adjust to the rapid movement of enemies, I find dragging your scope across to the target is so beneficial. But you desperately need a high sensitivity for this, otherwise you'll be aiming like a slug. Quick bonus tip, don't be afraid to pre-aim. Some of you may think it's a bit newbie, but to me it's crucial to use all different shot techniques to be in with a chance of getting solid gameplay. You don't have to quickscope every shot. The time to kill is fast, so be kind and give yourself the upper hand. But be aware of your laser peeking through the entry point. Pre-aim to the side, out of view, ready to snap across to your target when they appear. And speaking of laser, attachments are a must in this game. The base snipers are pretty damn rough. Maybe the worst we've ever had in Call of Duty. So here's 3 key attachments you should use on every class. Number 1 is rapid fire. The snipers are slow enough as is, so to keep up with the pace of the game, you want your sniper to fire as fast as possible. Number 2 is heavy stock. This is essential to counter the massive flinch snipers receive when hit in this game. It's not a huge difference, but it does more than enough. And number 3 is the target laser. I went into detail about this in my last video, but this attachment essentially removes your sniper's idle sway completely for 2800 milliseconds. Every time you scope in with this laser equipped, your scope will be lined up perfectly at the center of where you were aiming. Without it, you have to contend with the randomness of your swaying sniper, which I can guarantee is why many of you watching don't feel like your shots are registering. Paired with these attachments in your class should be the Recon Combat Specialty. Equip 3 blue perks of your choosing and get ready to embrace 2 bonus perks that feel like cheating. Firstly, off spawn, you get Vision Pulse. You'll see outlines of all enemies for a short moment and where they're actually running to. Secondly, you'll get a high alert notification on screen revealing that an enemy is looking at you and showing you where from. And this last one may sound simple, but it's often overlooked. Prioritize the enemy that is most likely to see you or shoot you first. Don't start with the easiest target. The best example of this is if you see an inactive player and an enemy running near you, don't let your instincts take over and go for that free kill. Focus on the danger first. The more aware you become of that, the easier it will be to string multiple kills together. Oh, and don't worry, you're not going crazy. It's not just you. Yes, the snipers for some reason have a random delay in firing when you're trying to get off a close range no scope or just pull off a quick shot. At this moment in time, there is no fix for that. So let's hope Treyarch come to their senses and remove this pretty awful mechanic. And lastly, the vertical recoil on snipers when aiming down your sights is pretty huge. You can counter this slightly with attachments, but just be aware that every time you fire your sniper, it kicks upwards. So you have to treat it like a regular gun. Readjust your centered point back down after every shot, otherwise you'll end up looking in the sky. Now let's move over to the settings. Now I am a controller player, but a lot of the stuff I mention in this section will be beneficial to hear for those on mouse and keyboard. So my button layout is set to tactical flipped. Now the reason for this is because my biggest tip is to keep your thumb on your aiming stick as much as possible. Tactical flipped allows me to press in my right analog stick, which is R3, to slide and dive. So I can be moving and grooving around the map and I never have to take my thumb off my analog stick because I can do all the motions, all the omni movement alongside aiming with just my thumb. Moving over to my sensitivity, it's currently set to 1414. This is probably the highest I've ever had it on any Call of Duty. And the reason for that is just to try and keep up with the omni movement. I started this game on 1111 and I've gradually worked up every day because it just wasn't quick enough. I needed it to be fast enough so when I'm aiming down my sights, I can drag and snap on someone, but when I'm out of my scope, I can still track enemies that are hitting me with a slide or a dive or whatever it may be. The higher you can get this, the more beneficial it will be. Dead zone, my left stick and right stick minimum are both set to 5 and my left and right stick max are both at 99. This allows me to be as precise as possible. Nothing in this section should be of note, all pretty default. That is also default. ADS sensitivity transition time, and it should be set to instant, but if it's not, make sure you change that. Aim response curve type, you need that on dynamic. This is what the pros use, the best players use. It just allows your aim to be quicker out the gates, but slows down when you need it to. It's very, very smooth. Custom sensitivity per zoom, just got my low zooms down to 0.95. That's for regular gun action, little pistol action. Target aim assist is on. Onto the movement is a new setting for Black Ops 6, which is sprint assist. You want to have this set to tactical sprint assist, and then if you click show more, you want the sprint assist delay set to 0. Get your sideways and backwards turned on as well, and this is just a way to maximize the reactiveness of that omni movement. If you have any delay there, if you don't have it set to this, you're not going to be as quick off the mark, you're going to be at a disadvantage. Mantle assist is off, crouch assist is off, and quarter slice is off. For the slide and dive behavior, I have it set to tap to slide. I think this is default, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. You can still dive, obviously, you just have to hold the same input, but make sure you go down to show more and turn that slide dive activation delay to short. Just makes it a little bit more responsive. The rest of these should be default, but I'll just take a quick look here. But there is something in combat advanced settings which you need to change. Change your zoom activation to melee. I don't know if this is because I'm on the tactical layout, but because the default scopes on the bolt action snipers are variable zooms, I've accidentally zoomed further in so many times and it drives me insane. So if you set the zoom activation to melee, you won't accidentally zoom in because you mash the right analog stick. Although maybe that's just a me problem. I'm just going to quickly scroll through my graphics settings. I mean, I play on PC, some of you guys might be on console. I just don't want to get into this kind of stuff, but take a look. These are what works for me. But like I said, it could be completely different for everybody else watching this video. So all in all, I just like a bit of clarity, you know? Oh, but turn off that depth of field. You don't want anything in the background being blurred. You want the full screen as crisp as possible. Field of view, I have it set to 110. This just makes your view wider so you can see more of your surroundings. I play on a 27-inch monitor and 110 FOV is absolutely perfect for me. ADS field of view, once again, gotta have that unaffected. Otherwise, you're gonna get inconsistencies with your zoom when you're aiming down your sights. Weapon field of view needs to be set to wide. Just gives you more view of your surroundings rather than a big fat weapon in the middle of your screen. As always, world and weapon motion blur off. Get your camera movement down to 50%, the least it can be. Audio settings here, down to personal preference once again. Headphones has been working for me. I hear a lot of footsteps in this game and where they're coming from. So I don't know if that's the game mechanics or if it's this setting, but hey, that works for me. Now, if we head over to the interface section, there's quite a few settings in here which people neglect, and some of them are actually incredibly beneficial to do. So let's head over to color customization. What we're doing on here is we're going to color filter settings. All right, set your color filter to number 2. Then you want your color filter target set to both. And what this is going to do is it's going to apply this more vibrant color correction to both your HUD and your actual game, which one makes the game look a little bit more stunning, makes the colors pop a lot more, but then those red name tags and outlines of enemies are way more noticeable, way more vibrant, so you can actually spot enemies a little bit more clearer. Now, I thought we'd be talking all day about the new customizable HUD, but in reality, the classic layout is your go-to. Make sure you turn your minimap shape to square, gives you a little bit more real estate to see where the enemies are coming from. Minimap rotation on, radar off, and then I've got my compass type off. It's just unnecessary clutter on the screen. That to me is more of a Warzone thing. You're calling out 220 west or 33 north. Like, I'm not going to be doing that in multiplayer. Lastly, down at the crosshair section, selection, make sure you have your crosshair dot enabled. This center dot is so beneficial for sniping. It gives you a visual representation of the middle of your screen. This is where you want to be lining up your enemies before you start scoping in. And if you want to train your brain to memorize where the middle of your screen is, maybe have a play around with its size. Personally, I have the crosshair spread off. Because of all the movement and the chaos going on in game, that crosshair is constantly expanding and bouncing all over the screen. It's just chaos. It's so unnecessary to be there. So I turn that off and I keep it static and centered. And I feel that's where I get the most use out of it. So there it is, my friends. That is everything I know about Black Ops 6 sniping at this moment in time. If you think this even helped in the slightest, I would really appreciate a thumbs up on the video if you've made it this far as well, and share this around to anybody you know that may be in need. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.